Mis hijos me trajeron la estufa. Allá ahorita hace que llegó el gas un mes, como un mes y medio ya casi, pero muy bueno porque ¿quién iba a creer que en este monte iba a venir eso?
Pues hace aproximadamente del 2016 de que se está en ese proyecto, se había ido a la alcaldía, hablando con los principales de los de TGI también y con el presidente de la Junta, que es el que programa para las reuniones y esas cuestiones.
Aquí tenemos una planta, como usted venía diciendo ahorita, la más grande, la que pulsa así a nivel acá de Colombia. Entonces nos motivó de que, bueno, tenemos una planta acá, ¿por qué no nos pueden echar el gas acá a nuestras veredas? Sabiendo de que ahí se puede. El gas aquí nos sirve a nosotros, ¿por qué? Porque aquí la gente antigua, años atrás, cocinaban con leña y los ha afectado mucho los pulmones. Ha venido enfermándose sobre eso. Y también acabando los bosques, que es lo que no queremos que nosotros acaben, porque si acaban los bosques, se acaba el agua.
Antes era una fogonera, una estufa con 3 piedras y para colocar la ollita y la leñita. Y ya estando el gas, pues ya muy útil porque en un momentico, en 5 minutos uno calienta una agüita o cualquier cosa. Y creo que para todos los que donde llegaron el gas, muy bien. Eso sí, bendito Dios.
Good morning. My name is Karen Guzman from Financing and Manager and Relationships with Investment in the Grupo Energy, and this is the results from the third quarter of 2023. This conference will have conference and would be recorded. The results were published yesterday and are available on the website of the Grupo Energy of Bogotá for your consultation. So the call for today is going to be led by Mónica Contreras, Director of TGA. And once finished, the presentation is going to be, well, we will continue with the presentation of Calidad. So we will please write your questions in the chat from Calidad. So now Mónica Contreras is going to present the results. Good morning, Mónica. Hello everyone, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with all of you this morning to present the results of the third quarter of TGI. So let's start with the next presentation. Well, we're going to start with the relevant facts that we have in this term. How was the operations, the commercial and financial performance, and the last achievements that we have in terms of ASG. So we are glad to tell you that in the Q3 of 2023, we actually stabilized many of the processes that we have had talking about during the past 2 quarters that were processes on regulations, and we were able to perform or ensure all the services that we had regarding signals related to the Niño phenomenon. It's important to show the results that in financial terms we have some income that increased 27%, and I want to tell you that this is thanks to the proactive acting from the point of view of the management of the commercial part with the government, and both with what meant to be contracts with thermals that we try to increase facing this situation of the Niño phenomenon that we discussed before, an operational profitability of 34.5%, increasing this percentage compared to the previous quarter of the year 2022, and an EBITDA that is growing up to 28.1%. In terms of gross utility, we can see 18%. It is a little bit low compared to the previous quarter because there is a growth on the EBITDA regarding the operational utility that is representative. Because of that reason, we have an impact and positive that Beatriz is going to explain in the presentation, that we have $4 million in difference compared to the profitability of the previous quarter, that basically 50% of that activity was positive situations, and the other 50% considering the regulation situations changes and the exercise we perform on what was related to coverage, financial interest that such coverages are generating. However, it is important to consider and be clear that we are achieving a net profitability of $8.4 million. That is really high compared to the net profitability during the year 2023 is we have an increase of 23%. The profitability on the same period on the past year is $114 million, and we are now in 117, which is an extraordinary result. So in the commercial management, we were basically, well, that exercise of the terms that we discussed before is generating a little bit 2.86% that is additional income. And financial management, as I told you before, we closed the negotiation of Club Deal, what was related to the refinanciation of the intercompany credit for the intercompany credit or with the GEP, with the group. And of course, let's see, I'm not reading the amount. Yeah, and it is closing with the Club Deal. 40 million, that is with cash. Yes, perfect. So from the 330, we're 40 in cash. So another important topic that we can discuss, we achieved that volume transported in September compared to the previous one, 530 cubic feet, and we also included more vehicles converted to natural gas, 3,543 vehicles in the third quarter. So we have an initiative in sectors. There's an initiative from the Camdeo Fund, and as a result of this initiative, we have 3,543 vehicles converted to natural vehicular gas. So in a summary, they are very good results. I'm glad to have this operational results and the results that we have in terms of the EBITDA that we're bringing today and the net income that we received in this quarter compared to the previous quarter. So it is higher than the previous quarter in 2022. So as a result of this, I want to report that in the third quarter, we obtained 5 relevant recognitions on the different management of different areas in the company. So we were the first company that, from the point of view, received the AE Qualis in Diversity, Equity, and Gender Management System certification. We worked really hard in everything related to diversity and inclusion throughout our program of Open Doors, and we achieved the certification. Also, the certification, the second one that you can see on the screen, is on the ISO standard certification 5001 Energy Efficiency System from Bureau Veritas, 2 new certified sites and 12 sites in total. And we received also a recertification on carbon neutrality from Icontech with 2 offices or sites certified, achieving 7 in total. And something important for us, that we ratified the qualification from investment grade verified with a stable outlook from Fitch Ratings, which for us is very relevant because it leaves us in a good position compared to what was the management that we had to deal with facing the regulations. In the Merco ranking, we grew 66 positions in Merco companies compared to 2022, in which we were in the position 199, and we grew to 66 positions, and we get to the ranking 135, and in 2024 we will be in the companies within this ranking, and the Merco companies energy. We are in position number 9 about the companies on energy, gas, and water companies. Next one. So, regarding the efficiency pillar, I am going to show you this pillar because this pillar has been like one of the key points that I mentioned in all the previous meetings that allow us to achieve results that are financial results, not only in a sustainable way, but also sustainable way in growing way. So I'm really proud to the management of the efficiency situation that included $22.5 million, and this third quarter we captured 1.5 million up or compared to what was the closing on the same quarter on the year 2022. So impacts that we captured in OPEX and recurring, we are in 21.5 million, and in the quarter in particular, we are comparing this OPEX impacts up to the third quarter in 2022 in 2.3 millions. So, regarding initiatives on transformation, we have new initiatives for the period in terms of the portfolio management, about $3 million that we are not registered in the PNG to show the results in 2024 that are really relevant related to new technologies in the operations that we're going to have in 2024, and our project of biomethane that is going to be starting to 2025, that is going to bring $1.8 million through a plan and an EBITDA. So, last but not least, all throughout the work that we have performed in this cybersecurity and cyber attacks, we captured new alliances to strengthen this pillar, and we have 2 pilots ongoing with 2 companies in Israel, from Israel, and we are working really hard with all related to cyber threats or cyber attacks. This way, I wanted to tell you that TGI can show sustainable growth, some important numbers, profitable numbers, sustainable management, and transforming for the results in the company for the 2023 to the third quarter of this year. Thank you very much. And now the floor is for Beatriz Arbeláez, that is going to take us deeply in the financial results. So thank you. Go ahead, please. Oh, sorry, there was one more, and sorry. And this is the regulation agenda and the regulatory and governance agenda. I can tell you that it has been focused on everything that is related to the adjustment on the payment of the gas project and the supply project, famous IPETs from natural gas. So basically, with all that was related to CREC 702, as far as we know, we have had an insufficient CREC to provide an answer through the Ministry of Mines and Energy, even with the previous director of CREC. We have been managed up to the what we can do to the CREC 702 that is in the hands of the National Agency of Legal Defense of the State. We can say that once they approve, we can have the final resolution and enable the new tariff file, which is a key point for us, and that is the call that we will do to have a CREC that is complete, that can provide the procedure that is relevant not only for TGI but also for all the companies in this sector. In the case of the IPATs, I can tell you that we enable the capacity of Ballena Barranca Bermeja within the income that you saw, if they are small income, but given the situation of the Niño phenomenon, it is important to tell you that we also have 585 kilometers dollars in monthly income, and that we are working with bidirectionalities to for the CREC to issue the resolution, their final resolution, considering the result that we have placed regarding the adjustment in other projects like the infrastructure in Mariquita, Gualanday, and everything that is related to Ramal, which is very important for the country since it is Ramal Hamundi. And with this, again, we close the results, and I can say that this is a sustainable and profitable growth, sustainable one in income and net profitability or income and disclosing compared to the previous year. And we are expecting the work that we're supposed to capture through the tariff file and the work with Greg in the country. And thank you very much, and I will give the floor to Beatriz. Well, good morning. Talking about the first component that is related to the topic related to the operational situation, and as it is presented here and the graph on the left, with the hired capacity or total capacity, it increased 46 million square feet during the last 2 quarters, which meant a variation of 7.8%. And since, as you can see in the graph, when we are going to see the effective capacity that was transported, that presents a small reduction. So this difference is shown because during this quarter, as was mentioned by Monica, we were able to see an increment of the higher capacity compared because of the situation with Niño phenomena, and there was a difference compared to the previous year. We dispatched it during all the quarter. In here, we were not able to see all the effects because we started to dispatch the capacity of the thermal companies or the plants since August. So it's a month and a half only during compared to the previous quarter, it was all the quarter. But as Monica mentioned it before, we have a very good behavior in general compared to the results, starting with the income. Basically, with what we can see here is that the income in dollars during the 2 quarters grew 27.1%, which means that it increased $28 million. What we can see here in this growth, or what are the factors that explain this growth? One of the factors that we can see here is related to the better higher capacity on the thermal plants. On second place, we can see that we have 2 regulation effects. The first is the change to functional currency. As you can see, we passed from the July, and starting July, 2 pesos, and the functional currency change meant an application of our indexator to tariffs of 19.8%, that it was an IPP in an internal office for this year. And the other change that was important in here is that we promoted that we should modify the regulation WAC on 1094 to 1198 and 1188. And we presented a higher capacity. In interruptions, deviations, there was an increment on the sol capacity and the bidirectionally in Barranca because of the non-regulation situation. Now we can continue, and clearly the combination of this good behavior and income and with behavior and growth that we can see in expenses in extraordinary situations, but less than this 27% that we were able to see in the income. And it meant there is a growth in $1 million of $7 million, explained basically because of the behavior the depreciations had, but mainly because they increased because of the transformation of the assets to pesos, and 2, because in this quarter we can see the arrangement of Cerro Bravo. So we have extraordinary situations, but the income is operational income showed 34.5%, so it means $20 million. And as it is clear, if we can see in the EBITDA, mainly we can see then we continue seeing that the growth has been growing, and we are above 80% because this EBITDA increased $23 million or 28.1%. However, as explained by Monica at first, despite all of these important effects in the operational situation, we have two aspects that show that the net income will be lower down. One, everything related to the non-operational income, then that is affected mainly by, well, because this semester or this quarter we have all the coverage value, and the coverage value for this quarter is $15.9 million. That coverage amount, this increase is shown because we had less financial cost because of the repurchase of the $202 million that we made, and also because we have had generated more financial income since we have the good liquidity and the higher rates that were shown in the financial market, in the Colombian market. So the second impact that we have in here, and we present this decrease in $4 million, is because of the taxes. We have an impact of $13.2 million in a variation regarding the previous quarter, and there's $13.2 million, 9 of them correspond to the highest net income generated during all the year and in the quarter, and second to the effect of the deferreds that is caused because of the access we had of the coverages and the variations on the exchange rates. So, in general, those are the and I can give the floor to Laura Villa. Sorry. These indicators here, as you can see here, mainly we can see the indicators that are under the indicators recommended by the qualifier and leverage related to interest coverage, because of the $202 million that we repurchased and because of the generation of EBITDA that we already explained. So, basically, it is explained because we have now a debt that is only $923 million, and given the situation with the peso, the debt increased about 5.2%, 5.3% to a rate in pesos of 16.55. But as you can see, we had good conditions in the average. Now, let's continue with Laura Villa. Thank you. At least we're going to show the improvements in sustainability. At the situation of September, and we increased 83% of our measure and fugitive emissions, and this is a great compromise from TGI, the only company that is transporting gas, and this is a clarification on full methane is emissions. As Monica said at the beginning, we completed 7 certified sites, carbon neutral. We had 5 last year, and we also certified 2 more. And regarding energy efficiency, we have 12 sites certified. Previous year we had 10, and we recertified additional spaces with 10. And this shows a good commitment and the environment commitment. And the social factor, we trained 216 women that are leaders in Casanare, Meta, and Cundinamarca. And also, we have an accompaniment to 30 of their entrepreneurships and our feminine strengthening in the areas of influence in which we have operations in 40 through solar spaces in works for taxes. We installed two spaces in Pradera and four in Yondo. And as at the beginning of this September of this year, we connected 656 people with the gas service, and we will continue to connect people to close the year 2023 with an ambitious goal. In the governance factor, we are committed with the transparency and the risk management. To September 2023, we trained 203 employees and 272 employees in ethics and compliance programs to have an ethical and transparent behavior. And we also identified two emerging risks: the financial performance difficulties due to exposure to market risk and lack of natural gas at national level. So we are working with the controls to map them in the risk matrix. With this, Karen, we give a status of the sustainability situations, and we go back to you. And answers session, and we have many questions. We start with many questions from Florencia Mayorga from Ember Life. So the first question would be, I want to ask the reason for the lower in volumes transported, and since the fact that the CREC does not have a quorum would hold the decision, will take longer with the decision to recognize the effects. I can start with a topic related to the CREC. I have been clear during this call that if it is true that we don't have any quorum on CREC, we work managing in a relevant part with everything that is related to the commission that was there, and we move forward with the previous week. That was a commissioner that was already appointed, and maybe today the rest of the commissioners are going to be named here, and we are waiting still that there will be the path and the way to go to that direction to actually move forward with the regulation situation. Thank you, Monica. We have another question from Florencia. Can you tell us what will be the indexations during the semester? Beatriz, please go ahead. Indexations, as I mentioned it, were as a result from the very beginning when we started to switch to the tariffs in pesos. And one of the main indexators is the IPP of an internal offer. That is the one that is paying the investment. It means the IPP of 19.12% is the one that paid the investment, and the charges on administration or operation and maintenance was the inflation from the previous year. So it was 13%. Thank you, Beatriz. And we also have some other questions from Andrés Duarte from Corfi Colombiana. Can you explain the situation and the change of the quarter and what you expect for the next year? Well, since we explained in the previous quarter, we had impact that was really important because of the difference on the exchange rate at about 144 million pesos, and as a result from the difference in the rate that we converted the financial statements, that was the exchange rate in 4,408 from May 31st, and the rates to which we had the derivatives. So, of course, depending on the positions and the evolution of the exchange rate during what is left of the year, we are going to have any type of variation since the positions that we had in dollars and because of the derivatives that we hired. However, we have a projection for this, well, in this moment, but we had to start reviewing it, and we can send it to view as soon as we review that. Another question from Andres Duarte and from Colombiano. What is the main cause to which we declare lost the gasificadora in the Buenaventura? And I want to tell you that we basically said that from the day one that we presented to this project is that this project is not bankable since to the extent that the risk during this change during the stage of development and construction of this project it was not assumed by the government, and it is going to be difficult that any private company will start or will continue with this project. Thank you. Another question from Andres. How do you see the possible access of Ecopetrol to the gas transportation? The idea is to increase the capacity of transportation or to have another network or no? Well, Andres, I think that Ecorfi Colombiana, since it is the main stakeholder or holding from Promigas, knows that answer, but I give you this answer. Promigas and us, we are very clear and to the what is related to the point of view of what means to have the transportation and production in a different space is something that we have to work in. And in the second situation, actually what we understand is here that the projects that Ecopetrol or what the request that Ecopetrol is asking for is to bring gas quicker to the country, and up to this moment we cannot see that, and for that reason we stated the same position as Promigas as Corfi Colombiana, an answer that is in the hands of Promigas and TGI, that Corfi Colombiana is aware of that. Thank you, Monica. One last question from Andres. Can you please explain a little bit about what is the rates, coverage, and plans? Well, the coverage, we can talk about two types of coverage. One is for the bond, and the bond is basically made with a structure of full cross currency swap. So what it means is that we receive the full amount of the bonus because of the suppliers of the coverage, the amount, and the bond coupon, which is the 5.5%, if I'm not wrong. And what we pay is basically 1 IBR plus 361. So what we do is to move with the flows in every moment. So we don't have any type of risk or base risk. And the second coverage that we have is everything related to the intercompany bond or intercompany credit that, as Monica presented, has an amount of $370 million. And in there, we have some forwards, and we constituted some forwards since the $370 million will expire on December 21st. So what we constituted was only a coverage that is regarding the exchange rate, and that coverage was hired in the moment with a competitive process up to 3,350 pesos. Thank you, Beatriz. Now we have two questions from Christian Fera from Balance. Can you tell what is the status of the resolution 702 and what is the increase that you would like to obtain in the rate? Laura? Maybe Guillermo. 702, as you mentioned it at first, we have moved forward with that. We're in conversations with the Ministry of Mines, the legal agency of the state, and the CREC, and that will be the last step, and they are going to issue a resolution, a definite resolution. It was published in the regulation agenda, and the tariff impact, you know that it will depend on the applications of the CREC, and we can see a more higher rate on the IOM, and we are showing an increase in 3 or 4%. I don't know if you would like to ask. and Guillermo, if I was telling that impacts are related to the coverage and the useful life. So thank you. The other question from Christian is, what is the refinancing of debt with the GEB and what are the terms, interest, and payments? So the refinancing of the debt with the energy group, it's a process that we have been handling throughout the year, and what it is about is that we started a process in Grupo with Colombian banks to get a credit equal to the $370 million as maximum. That is the debt that is going to expire on December 21st. However, as we mentioned it at the beginning, we have in this moment cash flow that is going to allow us to pay with our own resources about $40 million. So the remaining amount is $330 more we obtained through Club Deal. And basically, the good news is that we obtained a competitive rate. I'm not going to tell you that because we haven't closed, but the term was extended up to 4 years, and we want to disburse that. And 2 days before the 4 weeks expired that I just mentioned. I have another question from Andres Duarte in relation to projects and the current status of the future hydrogen transportation. Thank you. This is Santiago Costa from Transportation. We have developed different type of projects related to hydrogen, distributed hydrogen to small scale for in situ applications, and a medium scale for applications that are in bigger industry. And we are an accompaniment by the PIT with a consultancy to determine uses and exportation potential and derivatives. Regarding the blending is part of the regulation agency that we are working with Greg, and we are in there developing projects to identify in our infrastructure up to which blending percentage we can include in there in case the blending would be regulated in Colombia. When we will be ready with that situation and their applications. In the Group of Energy of Bogota and TGI, we are developing all the technologies related to blending, and what we are doing now is we are identifying all the applications from the technical and financial situation to be ready in the moment everything is set to include it in Colombia. Thank you. Thank you, Santiago. And now we have another question from in our chat in English. I'm going to translate it to the convenience of everyone here. Good morning, and thank you very much for the presentation. What is the situation of the gas offer in the center in Colombia? We have companies are producing enough gas, and what type of reserves we have, or let's say in a medium term. Thank you, and good morning. I'm the Vice President of Commercial Development. So we can continue with the Cusiana-Cupiagua source, and we have a production of 470 or more cubic meters, and we are trying to we have still 7 and a little bit more years of gas. However, we are managing situations of possible importation of natural gas to the country, and we can continue using sources in the middle of the country for the future. It is important also to mention that for the way it is expressed the question that in the short term we are open to possibilities that in Colombia for the years 2025 and 2026 we will require importing gas. So that is a situation that we work for as part of the project. So thank you, Monica. We have another situation related to the refinancing of debt with Club Tier. Is it denominated in pesos or in dollars? Debt is with national banks, and the debt is going to be denominated in pesos. Thank you, Beatriz. We also have a question from Manuela Chavarria from Copas. In previous days, the cancellation of delivery of gas to EPM on behalf of Canacol. Canacol mentioned the available transportation. Can you tell if there is any closure to any of those agreements related to transportation? Wolfgang?
No, disculpa, es que se me cortó un momento y no oí la pregunta completa.
Well, I didn't hear the question. So in previous days, there was a the cancellation of delivery of gas to EPM from Canacol, and they were talking about the transportation available from TGI. Have you get close to it or potential conclusions for these agreements in transportation? Yes, it was like that. EPM sent a request on hiring or procurement to for the terms of the next years. Okay. Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. We have only additional question from Christian Jose Orajas related to the behavior of the shares and the TGI, and we can talk about tomorrow and the results that you are kindly invited to obtain our response to this question. So we don't have any other questions. So we move forward with the one last question, sorry. From Ana Maria Huesca Rojas. What is the reason for the increase of the impositive rate for this quarter? As I explained, it basically has two components. One is the topic related to have better results. It increases the taxes. But the second situation, and maybe more relevant to explain particularly the increase on the impositive rate, is because of the entry of the derivatives and the returns on the exchange rate that produced an increase of $4 million in deferred. Thank you very much, Beatriz, and all the team from TGI. We deliver now the results from Mario Caballero, Director of Calidad, Finance Director from Calidad. Thank you very much for being here to review the results in the third quarter of 2023 from Calidad. There are three messages that I would like to give you during this update. And the first one is that we continue growing. We generated during this quarter more kilometers, more connections to users, and a growth in volume. And the second situation is that we continue with our relationship that is really positive with the authorities and government. And we executed within the umbrella of the program launched by the Finance and Economy Ministry in Peru, many kilometers and first connections in districts on the north of Lima and Callao. And the third message is that we are moving forward with the penetration in the vehicular segment, which is one of the priorities that we have in terms of a strategy to move forward and massifying natural gas. Next one. In terms of volume, we grew 5% during this third quarter, and this is leveraged mainly by vehicle connections. We have more than 30,000 new vehicles that were included in natural gas connections, and we achieved growth in connections in homes that allows us to help us with a lot of demand. And another thing that we included during the year is that because of the weather situations, the dams and hydroelectrical situations is lower, and it allowed that there was an increase on what is the demand on gas to generate the thermal electric generation. So we're about connections and networks. We are moving forward, and this quarter, we executed more than 280 kilometers of networks, and it generated more than 47,000 new connections. And clearly, as it was stated, the distribution still growing. It is getting to a maturity point. For that reason, this growing is marginally lower. And this is what we expect to the future, to increase the networks, to connect new houses to a little bit slow rhythm. So because of that situation, we achieved that the EBITDA growth 4%, mainly boosted by the demand and volume demand, and we get a rating on qualification, as you can see, and a stable rating, and we got the triple A rating, and international qualifiers we obtained the same qualification. Talking about the segment on vehicles, we also have two different situations in light vehicles, in which we have an important penetration nowadays. On September closure, we're talking about 200,000 vehicles that are using natural gas, but we are aware that we have an opportunity that is important to implement. We're 350,000 light vehicles that operate in here, and that is our relevant market as an investment. In Calida worked really hard to educate the different interest groups about the value from natural gas, not only the ecological situation, but also the environment and security. And because of that, the government launched during the FISE, which is a fund for the inclusion, social and energetic inclusion, 2,000 million soles, and mainly for the change in the vehicle to GLP, and to be part on this light vehicle segment. For about the heavy vehicles, the situation is more important, because we have more than 6,500 vehicles operating with natural gas, with an opportunity that is good with vehicles. And in here we have joined our forces in the chain, in the value chain that we had in natural gas, starting from the Camisea consortium that manages all the extraction from the molecule to Calia, and manages the distribution. In Camisea, what does is constituting with funds from their own funds, $3 million to create incentives for those that manage transportation fleets, and the conversion of their to provide a subsidy and for new trucks that are going to pass from diesel to natural gas. In this regard, we work in these two fronts, and we are convinced that we are going to be able in the following years to penetrate the segment and vehicles with this trust, to have a better participation of the NGB. Another key updates that we work with the government in Punche, Peru, and we obtained $35 million to execute networks, and we built 150 kilometers, and the first connections took place in Ventanilla district, that is going to benefit 1,300 homes. And we are working with the government to support not only what is the conversion of natural gas, but the reactivation of economy and conversion that is really necessary. And as a result of this relationship that we had, we continue working with an achievement during this trimester of this quarter. Was the Rebagliati Hospital, which is the biggest public hospital in Peru. It has 200 something more 1,200 beds, and for Cali it was difficult to access the conversion of this hospital. And this relationship we had, it was constituted with the government that allowed us to open many doors and achieve this connection that in the end is going to bring important savings for the government. Finally, we mentioned that we can move forward in different rankings, and the most relevant thing is that Cali was recognized by a great place to work, and we obtained the second position this year. Next one, please. And starting about the operational situation, we work with the volume was increasing 5%, basically based on home services and vehicular services and the generation because of the climate situation. Compared to the previous quarter, we increased 1%, and this is leveraged on the vehicular segment. And here it's important to see that when generating more volume, helps us a lot on the, as you can see on the right, is the competitiveness on tariffs. As we can see, Calida natural gas, the competitiveness is really high, 40 and 80%. So this competitiveness allows us to operate in a virtuous space, offering a product which is extremely cheap. And we have tools to be able to captivate more volume. With that, we are really happy that in the end, on the long term, we will continue operating on a sustainable business model to ensure these levels of saving and sustainability for our customers. Next one, please. Now, we have what is corresponding to the operational performance. I think that someone should close their own mics. Thank you. So the network grew about 283 kilometers during this quarter, and we are expecting to achieve total networks of 17,000 kilometers, and we include 46,000 new connections, and we are above 1.7 million customers, and the idea is to get to 1.8 million customers. And at first, we were able to see that we gave a preference to vulnerable sectors, CDIM, and since we are achieving a maturity point in the distribution system and in our coverage, what we can see is that more customers are going to come, and higher social economical levels, and these clients have an important increase, and it's going to help us with the tariff competitiveness in the situation. So in terms of the financial results, the EBITDA grew 4% compared with the previous year, boosted by the volume decreasing compared to the previous quarter, mainly because of there were less connections, and the net income showed a growth in 5% compared to the previous year because of the volume situation, and as a reduction compared to the previous quarter because we took a debt in the third quarter with CAF to leverage this capex increase, which increased also the growth of interest. And it's important to understand that our margins, EBITDA or net income, improved and increased. In the case of EBITDA compared to the previous year, we maintained it in the ratio of 60%, and now we are almost achieving 63%. And our ambition is to continue generating efficiency in these indicators and leveraging the operations that we have and getting to the long term and 70% of margin to EBITDA. So next one, please. The debt is kept in 900 million. If we get a new debt with CAF, we had some repayments to execute, and basically with the BBVA and BBVA, and it didn't change, but this new debt had been taken in some rates because of the positions or the conditions that we have nowadays. Regarding our leverage ratio, we continue in a net debt under the under 4, and EBITDA over interest above 7. So next one, please. And to give you like a perspective on year closing, we hope to close this year with more than 1,200 kilometers of new networks, 215, 230,000 new connections. That is going to take us to 1.7 million customers and EBITDA 225, 230 million, and a ratio of leverage under 4. With this, I want to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much. We are going to give some. In the meantime, we are going to answer 2 questions that we received about TGI. One from Lorencia Mayorga, that if we can clarify what they expect from the market share on the next quarter. Wolfgang is online. Yes. Please go ahead. Well, we can see that there is a draft for December and January 23 and 24. They're going to be drier months, so because of the Niño phenomena, the thermal plants will be reactivated again, and we can see that an important growth in vehicle gas because of the increase of the fuel in particular. So those factors will help the increase on the demand. Thank you. And there was another question that is already resolved, that is if we can give some type of details related to the Niño phenomenon and to the business. Again, we expected that the Niño phenomenon was really strong in September and October. It lowered down due to the hurricanes in Mexico. We had 2 important weeks in Colombia. The dams were again full, and the price on the kilowatt lowered down, and it was close to 1,400 and lowered down to 400, 450 pesos. But maybe because of the drop that we expect in December, January, the levels will increase again. We have another question for Calida from. Thank you very much. There is any adjustment that you should have to perform due to the pandemic in Peru? Thank you, Andres. No adjustment was needed. However, one of the measurements that we had to take was the division on the collection on the residential on homes because of the government. That was 4 to 5 years, and we are still in the process of recollecting that. So apart from that, there was no problem related to profitability during the pandemic. Thank you so much, Mario. And I think we have any other further question. So to everyone, thank you very much for being here, for your questions from the relationship of the investor, TGI and Calidad. Any question that you may have a wonderful day, and thank you so much.